Hello and welcome to the Last Word on Spurs. We are, of course, your multi-award winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast. We're back with a bang as Spurs inflict Everton's first defeat at their new stadium in a brilliant win for Tottenham Hotspur up at the Hill Dickinson. And yes, that's a mouthful. Up at the Hill Dickinson, Spurs get their win in what was a resilient, definitely at times, backs to the walls job, but a ruthless when needed Tottenham Hotspur side that took the game to Everton and won it by 3-0. Look, if this is what modern football's all about, you may as well be good at it. A clean sheet in Monaco on Wednesday and clean sheet at Everton on Sunday. Big ups to, of course, Guglielmo Vicario. What a week he has had in a Tottenham shirt. Certainly at the moment, Tottenham's number one. For Tottenham, they move up to the dizzying heights of third in the Premier League, where for Tottenham, you've got to say it's been a fairly decent week or so. And after 9 games, no team in the Premier League has scored more goals than Tottenham, 17. And Tottenham, for now, have the most away points in the Premier League this season. Helping us dissect, break down this show, back alongside us, we've got broadcast extraordinaire Russ Williams, Jason McGovern is back, and Adam Osper is back on the show. Sports Finance, one of our very own residential financial analysts in the house here. Before we bring in these wonderful gentlemen, let's take you through the match facts and the stats on that game. As it finished Everton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3. Everton 12 shots to Tottenham 7. Everton 2 shots to Spurs 4 on target. It was clinical when needed to be from Tottenham. They were the busier of the two sides in terms of clearances in the box, 53-25. Everton dominating touches in the opposition box, 31-17. Everton, the slightly busier of the two sides on the tackling front, 19-18. They also edged interceptions, 8-6. Edging the corners, but Tottenham made their ones count, 9-8. Everton also shedding the possession, 53% to 47%. And on XG, 1.53 for Everton to Tottenham's 2.08. At this point, I will tell you, before we bring in Russ Williams to kickstart us here on this Last Word on Spurs, Tottenham, they're joint top for goals scored. They're joint second for goals conceded in the league this season. And look, maybe there's an argument still out there that we're clearly having issues with dictating the tempo at home. But the foundations, it feels, are certainly starting to get there under Thomas Frank. A big 3 points as Everton lose, as I said, their first competitive game at home in their new stadium. Van der Ven with 2 great goals from a corner. But there is a strong argument once again that Guglielmo Vicario was man the match with an absolutely stupendous save. 1 of 3 made during the game, but a solid win on the road. Clinical in attack. 3 huge points. Russ, kick us off on the back of that win.
Well, obviously, very happy, difficult place traditionally to go. And the way that Premier League football is being played this season, if you can do it half decently, you're going to start picking up points. I think that's where we are. Defensively, I don't know what everybody else thinks and the audience. It's a lot more palatable to watch. You're not watching through your fingers so much. And I thought it was just a really good performance today. Third goal particularly, I really enjoyed, but I enjoyed obviously all of them. Great to see Micky doing so well. I mean, he's playing terrific at the moment. Vicario, Rick, as you said in the last 2 games, after coming in for a bit of stick, I think, from a lot of our fans, has excelled. Kevin Danso for a third choice centre-back is looking as though he's a very good signing. Where I think we are some way off the top teams is our ability in midfield to actually play the ball to each other and not keep silly passes, become almost commonplace within our team. And obviously we do have a problem up front, but I thought Kolo did pretty well today. When Solanke comes back, is it going to be any different? Don't know. I'm not absolutely convinced, but I hope he proves me wrong. Richie came off the bench today, perhaps could have scored, looked a bit lively. For me, when I've watched him over the last few months, his second touch to me is almost always a tackle, which tells you everything that you need to know. And what he's going to be involved, whether he's going to be involved with the club long term, I don't know. But we're never going to get anybody in January, as I'm sure Adam will underline, later on in the programme, if not immediately. So it's next summer, which is when we're going to be tested, I think, under the new regime, who we're going to bring in. And all I would say is the shadow of Daniel Levy, in my opinion, still hangs over the club, and it will take a little while before it disappears. Old habits die hard. Simons today, just a quick word on him.
Yep.
He's obviously struggling. One or two glimpses of what he might be able to do, but at the moment it's just not happening for him. But it will, I've absolutely no doubt, he will be a tremendous acquisition for the club. And finally, Pedro Porro and Kudus, tremendous corners, fantastic, right on the button. And I feared for us today at Everton in the new stadium, which, by the way, Everton are a proper football club, and it is a really good stadium, not dissimilar in appearance, I thought, to ours. And our fans were magnificent up there, supported the team. And we came away with a 3-goal victory that I think we've all really got to be very, very happy about. But it's the home form,
yep,
as we've said for weeks, isn't it, Rick, on this show, and all of your panelists and the viewers and the listeners, that is the concern. And I think it comes down to our inability to actually be confident in midfield going forward, and perhaps not having the quality that we need up front. But, it's early days. I'm not panicking about Thomas Frank at all. I think so far he's doing a good job. And yes, we have played worse than our results show, I think, overall. Today was a really, really good performance, and we should be very happy.
Russ, thank you so much. And listen, for all of the viewing public, there's a lot of people that are tuning in to listen. And for those that want to get involved in the live interaction, you need to hit subscribe, and that will allow you to also interact with the chat at this live point. So keep liking, keep subscribing to the show. Ads, let's bring you in. Tottenham, I feel like I'm reading Set Piece FC here. Tottenham are the first team to score a set piece against Everton in the Premier League this season. They scored in the end too. But at times it was a proper mature performance after a very hard game in midweek. And I think, again, this is what we're going to be speaking about a lot, is how the club do and how Thomas Frank does transition from a weekend game to a midweek game, and how he does deal with that. Because, again, he is very, very new to this. But I think the manager, in the end, did get it spot on. I think Vicario, Bentancur, Van der Ven, all superb in their own ways in that game. What's your takeaways, Ad, from a very impressive 3-0 win up at the Hill Dickinson, where I think many predicted it was going to be a very tough game for Tottenham?
Yeah, I think Russ has said a lot of it. I think for me, like, I've been watching Spurs a long time, like I'm sure a lot of you have. I've seen us fold like a pack of cards at 2-0 up. Bit of pressure from an away team, especially away at a team like Everton where the crowd gets behind them. But we were so solid today, like defensively, set pieces, the centre-backs. Danso was outstanding. Obviously, Van der Ven's a Rolls Royce. We Paulina loves tackling, putting his foot in. I don't know how many blocks he did. It was incredible. Like, people moan because we're not playing attacking football, and I agree with that. At times, it's a bit like, come on. But, when Arsenal or Liverpool, when they win leagues, whatever, when they play badly and find a way, that's the sign of a good team. And Frank's spoken about that quite a lot, that, you want to, if you can't win a game, don't lose a game. And, make sure you're solid. And that's what we were today. Everton had like a bit of a spell. They had a couple of shots on target, so they huffed and puffed. I thought we dealt with them brilliantly. I thought we're so solid. And there's a lot to come. People forget you've got Ndogi out, you've got Romero out, Solanke out, Maddison out, Kulusevski out. Muani's just come back from injury. And, our attack does look blunt. We don't look like we are a cohesive unit going forward. But 3 of the front 4 today had never played. Had not played together. They're all new. Muani's just come in. Simons came in late. And Kudus we brought in the summer. So everyone's, in that sense, everyone's getting to know each other. So the fact that we are defensively solid, don't look like conceding many goals, we're the top goal scorers in the league, which I find sort of quite baffling, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting that. And still winning games and being third, and you know that you've got players coming back. It's a really positive sign. I personally think we really missed Solanke as just that outlet, that hold-up play. Moani did it like a couple of times that we got him into the game, started those little sort of link-up plays, and every time we did that today, we actually looked like a threat, but it didn't happen enough. And I think somebody like Solanke will be, I think, sort of key to that. Really top performance. Vicario got a little bit of stick a few weeks ago. He's been unbelievable this week. You know, the first save he made, that bicycle kick, was incredible. I thought Bentancur was really good. As a unit, we were really good. And I think, as Russ said, like, if you think back to last season where we were all at sea at the back, teams were running at us, we were all over the place. Now we look like a well-organised unit, and that's how you need to build a good team to go forward, right? You need to build a good team, get a solid base, be organised, not want to lose games. I think that's the really interesting one. You know, this old Spursy tag where we would fold, not making sure that you don't concede. We look like we want to defend as a team now. And we've got enough good players in attack that in time that will come, I'm sure.
Thank you so much. Jace, let's bring you in. Look, I think it's fair to say nowhere near perfect, but the foundation certainly are getting there, particularly definitely in these tough away games. I'm not going to try and dress it up. I appreciate for some out there, I've seen a lot of chatter on social media. It's not at times the most enjoyable watch, but I do think that Frank does seem to be doing really well in making us, definitely as the boys have touched upon, more solid, more effective for set pieces. And where I've pretty much been saying for a lot of time, for me, I am going to give him a pass at the moment on the front line, so at least we get more players back, as anyone I think would still struggle with the options that we have. Jason, what did you make of the result, the performance up at the Hill Dickinson?
It was a brilliant result. Go up there, any 3-0 away win is a brilliant result. I thought we did all the ugly things that you have to do really well. Gritty. I thought Vic, Danso, Micky. I thought Bentancur in front of them as well was really did all the ugly things that you have to do. There was bits and pieces of shithousery today, wasn't there? There was plenty of time wasting and all those types of things that go on. But technically not a great watch again. So I think that's why I enjoyed the third goal, to actually see us string a few passes together and play a decent bit of football to get the third goal was nice. But you know, we've gone up there, got the 3 points, and in a performance that was worthy of everything we mock 4 miles down the road. So I presume we suddenly all think Arsenal are a brilliant team to watch, and isn't it wonderful football they're playing? And full credit that they're top of the league.
On that point, is that the way though modern football is now tending to go? Because I've seen a lot over this kind of weekend that the shift definitely appears to be now that it is about making the most of set pieces. And now there's a joke saying that Sam Allardyce is probably going to get employed very time soon because the way the game is going. Jace, to answer that question, is that the way the game is just going at the moment? That it is about maximising every opportunity, and set piece at the moment seems to be the key one.
Yeah, without a doubt. And that's all teams. That's all teams trying to do it. And for somebody that wants to see, you know, I've always said I want to go to a Premier League game and see things that you can't see up the local park, and bundling in set pieces where, and like I say, whoever the team is that's doing it, where players blocking and pulling shirts and swinging people around and grabbing each other around the neck plays a part in it. I mean, you know, when we think about legends of the game, and you think of Berbatov's first touch and the Zidane touches and Eden Hazard's and Thierry Henry's and Oddle's and Dalglish's and Kevin De Bruyne and passing range, I've never heard anyone say they're a legend at bundling in a set piece. So, you know, if players like Gabriel are going to be the new football legends, then I worry what we're watching. But without a doubt, it's, yeah, I mean, every game this weekend, the set pieces are massive. So, yeah, we used to mock the Dyches and the Allardyces and the Tony Pulises and things like that. But, you know, they suddenly look like modern day Ancelottis, don't they? It's crazy, you know. Teams like Brazil and things like that have been lauded, but now everyone wants to be Stoke or Halifax Town. It's the way that modern football's going.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, Russ, let me ask you about that because you've covered football for a very, very long time. You know, both professionally as well, and obviously as a fan of Spurs in general. What are you making of the change, the way the game is going? Because there's a lot more emphasis now, isn't it, about set pieces, making the most of dead ball situations.
Yeah.
Are you surprised with the way the game is going, or is that just everybody really, because it is such fine margins in this league, everyone seems to be making the most of everything? Is that how you see it from your end?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of safety in the play this particular season. I mean, I don't think the Premier League, if I'm honest, has been such a great watch as it has been in previous seasons so far. I mean, it could explode. I mean, Bournemouth are showing the way, if you like, with the sort of Iriola free-flowing football, and look at them. You know, they're second in the league. You could argue they're playing the best football in the Premier League at the moment. And I thought, you know, to talk about another club that has caught the eye only in the last couple of games, Manchester United, the way that they played, particularly in the last Premier League game, which they won. You know, the way they played going forward was markedly different to the way we're able to play going forward at the moment, and a lot of other Premier League teams. But, you know, if this is the way the football is going to be played, then you might as well be good at it to get the results that you need. But there's always going to be outliers. And, you know, Bournemouth have caught the eye, but look at their set pieces. They still are extremely well drilled when they're facing them and when they're attacking with them as well. So I think we've seen set pieces become extremely important. They certainly are to that lot up the road. I mean, you can't see them scoring without a set piece, and I wouldn't want us to fall into that category. So hopefully, as Adam was saying, you know, and Jason, when people are back and are playing and are fit, we will have a little bit of flair as well. But I think the criticism of the Premier League that has been made this season, that it isn't quite as exciting as it has been so far, in my opinion, it is probably true.
Russ, thank you so much. I think one man that we know is, I think, carefully in the background, maybe looking at the show, and we hope he's out there. A big shout out to Andreas Jorgensen, who will certainly should take the headlines at the moment for a lot of the work Spurs are doing from their attacking set pieces. Obviously, Van der Ven's going to take the headlines for the two corners, but we understand the Swede has been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, helping Spurs with those set pieces. I know a lot of people last season has to come to you. Everyone called for a set piece coach. We've got a set piece coach. Is it fair to say at the moment it looks like we're making the most of it from an attacking perspective at the moment? And you also suggested from your perspective, do you think we're a lot more solid now from set pieces in your opinion as well?
Yeah, I mean, the set piece thing, I think is you know, I always remember like Alex Ferguson's United team in big games. They won so many games from set pieces, from corners. And I think maybe people forget that a little bit. And that's probably that Man City and Liverpool team, those two teams over that period of time, the way they played football. I think probably Chelsea's Mourinho team, I bet they scored loads of corners with all those massive guys that they have. So I don't think it's I don't necessarily think it's a new thing. It's clear that people are looking at it now because, you know, you take any advantage that you can get. And if you can score like 10 goals a season from a set piece, that'll be the difference between getting top four, winning the league, whatever it might be. But as I said, like for me, like it's defensively, like David Moyes is a very, very good coach at preparing corners. And they tried to do a number on Vicario today, like lots of teams did last season, but we were so prepared for it. And I think they said it so after this goal, I think on this goal that you're showing, which is the goal that was disallowed for them.
That's right. Yep.
Rouhani was marking that guy. And I think Gary Neville made the point that on the next corner, they'd swapped it. And I think it might have been Danso that went in there, or maybe it was Van der Ven. So it just shows that like we are much more clued up on being defensively solid and keeping clean sheets and organised than we have been before. And, you know, again, to be successful, every single successful team has a great defence. as well as a great attack. No team that's ever won the league has been crap at the back, have they?
Yeah. I mean, this North London derby, Jay's coming up in a few weeks' time. What is it going to be like? The game set piece FC versus set piece FC. Look, we have, I think, thanks, Matt, for this point. Matt, regular listener of the show. Matt, thanks so much. 7 clean sheets in 14 games. I mean, that is impressive. I think I was seeing this on social media, so forgive me whoever said it out there. The way that Tottenham play in open play on the ball is still a little bit muddled and conservative, but it does feel like Thomas Frank is trying to get the team to ride a bicycle with stabilisers after being so scarred from zooming into traffic on a line bike. What's your thoughts on it? I know, Jace, you're a football purist. You love seeing Tadaris to do. Do you think, again, maybe hard to say at the moment, but do you think over time, I mean, look, I think the thing about what I see with fans is that if you don't win a game, then people will openly start criticising the manager over the brand of football. But I think what I find is that, and again, from doing these shows, if you are winning, it's enjoyable. But when you're not winning, that's when it becomes a problem. A game like today, when you've got away to Everton, I think you've actually said this as well, credit to you, that you are going to get games like Everton, Leeds away, where I think for these games, it's about grinding it out and getting the results, right? Is that fair, Jace?
Yeah, and I think conditions, particularly in the second half as it goes on, a little bit like conditions at Leeds away second half. They're, winds howling, rain's driving. It's bundle ball type of thing where you do have to kind of do it ugly. I get that. But, it's I think we're in the mid period where if we compare ourselves to the big teams, we haven't got the forward players to be able to play expansive football like Real Madrid's and PSG's and things like that. And I totally accept that. But, it's a bit of a worry that Burnley have had more shots on target than Tottenham this season. And West Ham have had more shots on target than Tottenham this season. So, are our forwards better than Burnley's and West Ham's? No, we all know we haven't got Kane and Son up front. But, and in the Champions League, there's 36 teams in the league, and 35 teams have had more shots at goal than Tottenham. So again, no. Do I expect us to be up with Bayern Munich? No. But do I expect us to be better than Paphos and Almaty? Yes, I do. Considering we've played 3 teams that are below us in the group, none of which have won a game yet. So, we haven't been playing the top tier teams. So it's a mixture. I think when Kwani's properly fit, and Dom's properly fit, I do think we'll see better quality. But the strange thing today, isn't it? And this isn't a knock at Thomas Frank, who I'm sure sets a team up and has told players clearly what their roles are. And we spend 15, 20 minutes with Johnson and Kudos arguing who should be on the right wing. It's like, clearly the plan was for Kudos to be a false 9 or to be more central or something. And yet him and Johnson were constantly in each other's way. And I think at one point you could see Johnson saying to him, so you think, come on, Mo, you've been hearing what your role is for 2 days and you've turned up and you've immediately gone rogue and thought, no, I'll play on the right wing. So, and with Muani not being on the left, it was the weirdest looking shape of a front 3 I've seen in a Premier League game. So that's not going to help your quality of football either. But, yes, it's a work in progress, but there's a hell of a lot more should be done. And I think we should still be better going forward than we are. The third goal, brilliant football. Absolutely brilliant football. As good a goal as, well, probably Richie's volley against Burnley, but that's probably as good a goal as we've scored all season with the type of, with the movement, the quality of the passing, the speed of the passing, everything about the third goal was fantastic.
And just one other thing, Jason, I want you to touch upon quickly, because I know you were saying this a lot last season when Andrew's here. And again, it's not a criticism. Well, it's better how you take this. I mean, Frank said very little time to work with the players in between games because of the nature of the fact every 3 days we've had a game. So even after this, there's very little time to make tweaks or adaptations. Is that fair?
No, I've said that all season, haven't we? It's that. But, to go with a comment earlier where somebody said we were 3-0 down at half-time last year. Did Van der Ven play last year? Did Danso play last year? Did Vicario play last year? We had players missing last year. I don't think Bentancur or Polina played last year. So, yes, it looks more. But if we constantly talk about who we're missing up front affects the forward play, well, don't forget we missed 2 centre-halves and a goalkeeper for 4 months last year as well. You have to balance it out properly. And Micky's got her 2 goals today. But I mean, Vicario's save, we might come to it later, but that
We will
was
do. We will. It was a
that
remarkable
was
save.
outrageous save.
He's had an incredible week.
Outrageous save today.
He's had an incredible week, Vicario. Don't get away from that. One thing I do want to touch upon, Russ, very quickly. We're going to hear from Frank in just a second during this show. We speak about tactical tweaks and what Frank has and hasn't done so far, and I feel people have felt at times there was maybe a lack of adaptation from Frank. But one thing I spotted actually, which was a really interesting and good tactical tweak from Frank in possession. I think Bentancur came deep. You had Kudus playing centrally, Johnson out to the right, and there were players close to each other, giving a lot more passing options between the lines.
Yeah.
And I think that did make our build-up flow a lot better. At least we saw players occupying central areas, creating more pass options in the build-up. And I think a key takeaway from that is the fact we have seen, for everyone that's been critical, there is a willingness from Frank to try and find at least solutions. And I think hopefully with the return of Romero, Solanke and Kulusevski, like Ads has touched upon, hopefully we're going to see that evolve, Russ.
Yes, I mean, you would hope so. When he was at Brentford, I mean, they used to knock the ball long a lot, just find the strikers. You know, that was the way he liked to play football. Maybe he had the personnel that we haven't quite got at the moment, but, and I say, obviously, they come back. But I like the way defensively he sets us up. Midfield and up front, I still think we got some work to do. But we can't argue, you know, how we've done so far this season. Only 2 defeats. I mean, you know, who would have thought? I mean, new manager bounce and a half, really. And I think him and his staff know exactly what they're doing. And certainly as far as defending goes, we've seen now consistently that they've obviously made their point. It is light years away from last year, when, don't forget, we were told set pieces don't really matter. Well, turns out that they do, and we all knew that.
I think the other thing as well is, like, sorry to jump in, like the other thing, like, we lost to Bournemouth. Bournemouth, you know, everyone's like, oh yeah, Bournemouth, because they think of them as this small club. They're an outstanding team.
They are.
Got an outstanding manager as well.
Really
Outstanding manager.
Yeah, really good team. So, like, you know, people like say, oh, we lost at home to Bournemouth. Very, very good team. Great manager, well organised, really good. They're second in the league at the minute. So, you know, they're doing really well. So it's not like that was like a horrific defeat. Sorry, Rick.
No, listen, again, I think, you know, we know the home form has got to be addressed. And I think, you know, that's the thing that we keep speaking about at the moment, that, you know, if you ranked weirdly on the point, Spurs' 9 performances from kind of best to worst, you'd probably say the top 3 or 4 have been away from home, you know, and the bottom 3 would all be at home. So you feel if Tottenham can sort their home form out, you know, we could have a really, really good season in store. But I think we do need, I said this to Jason actually the other week, I think we do need a statement home win. You know, we've got Chelsea United on the horizon. I think you win one of those games, it gives everybody a real belief that we can win games at home. Because, I mean, we said it so often, and I was next to you for the Bournemouth game. You know, the home form is so reliant upon what you want to be as a team. And I think if Tottenham do want to get, and again, careful to set expectations, if they want to get in around the top 4, the top 5, at least back into Europe, they are going to need to have a better home form than what they've got right now. But away from home, you can't argue that they've beaten Man City away 2-0, West Ham away 3-0. They've got a point away to Brighton. They've beaten Leeds. They've beaten Everton. Like I say, Tottenham with the best away return so far in the Premier League. And, you know, again, Frank has spoken about the fact that we want to keep on building on that. What we are going to do, we are going to squeeze in our first break of this show for our listeners that are on audio. We have got already over 5,500 that are watching us live. As always, guys, thank you ever so much for incredible support for the show. Please keep liking. Please keep subscribing to the show. Let's hear from Tottenham Hotspur head coach Thomas Frank, who gives us his review on that game. And we'll be back after this very, very short break. Around 5-6 minutes, guys. So grab a drink. Let's hear from Tottenham Hotspur head coach Thomas Frank.
Hi, Thomas. Congratulations. You must be so pleased to come to such a difficult ground and win so convincingly.
Very, very, very happy with that. I think it was a overall very, very solid performance. I'm especially pleased with the first half, where I think we were good in phase 1, good in phase 2. More passes, control the game more in phases. In general, second half was a little bit more of a dogfight at times. And going here to Everton, which is against a very good team, well set up by David Moyes and a very good home crowd. And they've been unbeaten here so far. And you know, to any ground in the Premier League to win 3-0 away from home is a very good result. So yeah, very happy with obviously the set pieces as well. What I would say, the clean sheet mentality, that is a very good foundation to stand on, and that gives you an ability to perform at a certain level where we want to always do a little bit more, but be really, how can you say, competitive, and especially away from home. And then I think we are. Is it 3 years ago we played Champions League, or 3 years ago? But it's quite a inexperienced Champions League squad to go every third or fourth day. And one of the most difficult things with that is to be able to compete in both tournaments, and especially after an away trip in Champions League, and then go away in the Premier League again. So to keep the energy, the focus, the intensity to be able to do that, I'm very pleased with the players, how they handle that to get the win today. Plus, we also did it after Bodø travel, and then travel to Leeds and win. So I think it shows a lot about that mentality. There's things we like to work on, but the most important thing is the mentality.
You mentioned the clean sheet. I mean, how important have Micky and Vicario been? Obviously, both outstanding again today, but to do that in the absence of Romero, who's obviously a huge loss as your captain.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we maybe forget Kevin Danso. Maybe he was not as highlighted as the two others, but I think Kevin's done very well to step in big shoes to fill out after Kuti. But Micky, man of the match, clearly defended well, two goals and good on the ball. And I think Vicario, man of the match in Monaco. But today I think his performance was more complete, good with the feet, very good in the box, and 2 exceptional saves.
Hi Thomas. There's been a lot of talk recently about Paulinho and Bentancur starting together.
Thank you for that question. I'm looking forward to that. If you didn't mention that, then I probably would have said something. But yeah.
Well, I was going to say, these are the kind of games where it is clear what they do bring to the to the team when they start.
I think it's very clear. I think both of them today was excellent. I think they were very good on the ball. I think they were excellent defensively, landed on the second balls when they needed to. I think we controlled the game more. I think the bounce passes and the bits and pieces to build up and control the game was very good. So in a time where we are building and going to the next level, I think they are extremely important.
Hi Thomas. We've spoken a lot so far this season about your attacking set pieces. Just wanted to ask you about the defensive set pieces, because you're exceptional from them today. So what have you and Andreas done since the summer to sort of improve the team's record from them?
Yeah, I think, of course, obviously, set pieces is all the set pieces off diff. And I agree today, of course, we scored 2 goals, but it's equally important that we can keep the ball out of the net. And the team did very well, and I think... And Andreas and Sean, our set piece analysts, have done a top job with the team throughout from we started to now, and that's both structure of how we want to do it, but also we know when there's a structure, but there's also the physicality, and then you need the desire. But the structure and the principles for it is very clear.
So if I've got this right, Van der Ven didn't score any goals last season, and he's now on 5 in 14 appearances. What have you done or said?
Top score.
I think he might be, yeah.
Not bad, huh?
What have you done and said to him to sort of, just turn him into an elite striker, apparently?
First and foremost, I think he's really growing and taking some big steps. I'm very pleased with him overall. I think he's taking more leadership. I think he's defending better and better, not only using his pace, but also more clever positions. Very happy with that. And then I said, actually to the beginning of the season, I said, it's okay you score with your left foot and your right foot, but you need to score header goals. You're centre back. You need to score more of that. And then we have worked with it, and that's big praise to Micky, but especially to Andreas. And the way he how can you say, attack the ball, also get in there where it hurts, I think is key. Now, hopefully continue.
Hi, Thomas. You think you've got the only unbeaten away record in the Premier League so far? I mean, what does that say, and what do you read into that?
I think normally it's very difficult to do that, and it's been very difficult. No doubt about that. But I think to have a foundation where we off diff have a solid foundation, but of course, when you go away from home, you need to defend a little bit more, especially where we are. And I think how we defend high pressure, but especially the middle block, but also the box, I think is important. Set pieces, both boxes can make a difference on a day like that. And then we're adding layers. And then the overall thing, as I said, is that mentality to want to run hard, and every team needs to do that.
Hi Thomas, it was Randall Colomwani's first start today. How do you feel like he did, and how do you feel like your attack is working at the moment?
I think it was pleasing to see his first 60 minutes. He's still building his physicality and sharpness. Pleased with what I saw, but it's the first steps, so there's more to come. I think in times I like some of the movement, the interactions with the front four, but that is an ongoing, project or process.
With Javi Simons, obviously it was another game where it didn't quite come off for him. Do you think building that relationship with someone like Randall may help him as well? Yeah,
I think it will help him both things. I think actually I like Xavi. I think he found some good positions, and maybe the final top actions, but I think still there was good actions. Maybe missed, but that's just, need to keep going, keep building, and keep working on it.
Thomas, it felt very symbolic at the end, the way you brought the players that close to the fans, and you stayed there for a long time. It was sort of a moment where you seemed to be bringing everyone together. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's a big part. I think it's important to do it when we win. It's important to do it when we draw. It's important also to do it when we lose, because we are in it in good times and bad times. And of course, it's a very good time today. Very happy with a win, a difficult away win. But of course, as you say, the togetherness that is on and off the pitch, that is between players, staff, fans, the stronger that can be, the better it will be.
Yeah. And can I just ask you about Porro's corner taking? Is that specifically worked on to be that narrow to the post? Because the deliveries were absolutely exceptional and so accurate in terms of where they were going. Is that a specific sort of?
Yeah, I think we have a plan to play close to goal, but it's sometimes difficult to hit it that precise all the time. But as long as it's in a very good area close to goal, then there's more opportunities to potentially score.
Thomas, realistically, how far can this side go this season? We're a quarter way into the season. It's been a very good start. What would represent a successful season? How far can the team go?
I think we are in the beginning of building something. Very happy with a lot of things. As I said, defensive side of it, mentality, set pieces. But I think there's a bit we need to work on, especially offensively, to be more free floating still. And for me, it's a long season ahead. I just said very happy going away from home after 2 away games in Champions League. That's a big part of it. But to continue performing day in, day out is a challenge which we embrace and want to do. So who knows? But I need to take it one game at a time.
Do you see the team as being title contenders?
No. That I think is a big. I think there's probably a few teams that are ahead of us. I think it's fair to say that. I'm only thinking of one game at a time, and let's see where we are in April. Thank you. Yes.
So you go. That was Thomas Frank there on the back of Spurs going up to the Hill Dickinson and getting a 3-0 Tottenham win. I'm joined by broadcaster extraordinaire Russ Williams. I'm joined by Jason McGovern. And I'm joined by our very own sports finance expert, Adam Osper, is in the house on this show. Thanks to over the 6,000 that are watching us live, as always, for your support. Got to ask you, Jace. Thomas Frank says Tottenham, they're not title challengers. was there a right or wrong answer there, Jace, you could have said? What did you make of that from Thomas?
It's the exact answer that you should be saying. We're not title challengers yet. God, I mean, if people say it's early days, giving time, we're just at the start, then you're not going to be at the title challengers, are you? But we're in a decent position. I mean, the annoyance last week was that we saw a few teams slip up last week, and we could have put 8 points between us and Villa, and 8 being between some of the others, and we stuffed it up. And so today, with a few results going our way yesterday, it was a chance to say, right, kick off the game, tough away game, but a great chance to go third, and we've grabbed it. But the next 2 home games will be a lot to where we are going into that international break, because beat Chelsea, but we just got. There's no way you're title challengers if you're only going to win 1 out of 4 home games, is there?
No.
So our away form won't stay unbeaten, I'm sure, away all season. But you'd hope the away form and the home form kind of meet halfway at some point and say, right, let's use it as a springboard. So, and the fact that we haven't played the real big boys at home yet as well. And so, we know with Chelsea, that's I mean, even as supporters, we're bad about the Chelsea game, aren't we? I'm sitting there thinking, just no red cards, no injuries, whatever the score is, I'll take. Because you just kind of think, just get through the Chelsea game. But if we can get something from that and then play Man United, who we beat 4 times last year, then the feel-good factor will be there.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. 2 massive home games coming up for Tottenham. Russ, on the back of that, from Frank there saying we're not title contenders, what are Tottenham this season for you? What can they achieve, do you think, this season, based on what you've seen so far over the last 9 games? And like I say, we've played everyone has played 9 games now. Spurs, most away wins, highest points away from home. What do you think, Russ, very quickly? What do you see achievable at the moment?
Well, I mean, right now we're in Shangri-La compared to last season, aren't we? Obviously, we're not title contenders at the moment and probably won't be. We all know that. I would say top 6. I would say top 6 would be, for Thomas Frank, a good first season. What was really interesting, I don't know if you guys in the audience picked up on it, he made a big thing when he was asked, what have you changed? Mentality, he said. And we've all spoken about it, haven't we, on this podcast, at the ground, in the pubs. We just don't have the cojones mentally. Spursy, that awful tag that I hate. And he obviously identified that, probably with a few other things, when he first came in. And now we see the sort of defensive performances. And it helps that Palhinha has come in. I mean, a very mentally strong player. So I thought that was really interesting, because it was quite obvious that for quite some time, mentally, we were, what's a polite way of putting it, brittle, weren't we?
Yeah, we were indeed. And your very quick take on that for you. What do you feel based on that presser from Frank? How do you gauge where we are right now, given, Liverpool at the moment aren't in their greatest run of form? Was it 4 straight defeats for them? We won't talk about the team at the top. We've got them coming up very, very soon. Chelsea again, another bizarre week for them at home. Can't seem to register back-to-back wins. Villa, I think they've now won 5 on the bounce, Villa. So, again, that just shows you the teams that are around us. What did you make of the league at the moment, Adam, where we are?
I mean, I always like listening to Frank. If you just listen to his press conference, it's pretty much everything we just said. He's not sugarcoating it. He's saying, we're really good defensively. We're really good at set pieces. We're really solid. We're getting wins. We're not good enough in attack, and we need to work on that. So he is seeing and saying everything that us as fans are seeing, which is a good thing, because obviously it means that we don't want to play this way, and he doesn't want to play this way. Whenever we get a new manager in, or whatever it might be, everyone always talks about building the foundations and so on, but then we all get so impatient so quickly. And then with Ange, we were crying out to have what we've got right now, which is teams that don't want to lose games and want to defend. And Russ made the point, and Frank said it a few times in the press conferences, which makes you wonder how many times he says it to the players. He talks about mentality, making sure you keep a clean sheet, not losing games. All of those things, that's how, they're the important things. Actually, not conceding goals are important. I think the Chelsea game, obviously everyone generally hates playing Chelsea. It might be a good thing for us, because I've been really disappointed with the atmosphere at home this season. I think the atmosphere has generally been really flat, really weirdly flat. In most games, as soon as we go behind in some games, it's dead as a doormat. So I think a game like Chelsea, it's going to be dark, floodlit. The atmosphere should be good. They play quite open, so I think that might make for potentially a more a more interesting game for us. And I think he made a really good point there about Xavi Simons, is that he was in a lot of good positions, which is right. And actually, there were about 4 or 5 occasions where his pass, or he didn't quite get it made from the man, or whatever it might be, wasn't quite good enough. And you think, well, actually, you know, if you look at the third goal, that was an example of that. If on 2 or 3 of those other occasions, Xavi had been a bit better, then who knows what might have happened. So the fact that he's in the right positions and stuff like that hopefully means that will come.
Just on Xavi very quickly, because I think something was being picked up online is that at times, we'll stick this very quickly for this point, he gets deep and he looks so isolated. He's not the type of player at the moment that you feel is going to drive 20 yards plus with the ball hanging off his shoulder. So it does feel that you're going to need to give him options to connect. And every time he gets the ball, there should be at least, I think, 1 or 2 or 3 players showing him that support. So unless it's a transition where he can use his vision to play a forward pass onto a runner, my worry for him is that development and that, fluency to his play, I'm not sure he's going to come unless he's got that support around him. And I think at times it's actually us trying to play to his strengths rather than actually us asking him to transition to ours. Is that a fair point?
Yeah, I just think with him, it's like everyone says his best position central, but then he was like almost wide of a 3 today. Yep. And therefore he's getting the ball and he is a bit isolated. And I think I made this point a little while ago. Like for me, as much as I like Spence, we massively miss Ndoggy on the left because it's somebody that's going to go past him and that you can play a ball in and he can receive it on the overlap rather than Spence obviously tends to come inside a lot because he's playing on the wrong side. So I think when he is playing on the left, having a naturally left-footed sort of wide fullback attacking will help him. He'll give him that overlap, that man, sort of to give him that space today because Spence, again, kept on stopping, cutting back today. And I think that hinders our attack, basically.
Okay, let's come on to the team. Spurs did make, obviously, a number of changes for this lot. I say a number of changes, a couple of changes for the lineup to the game ahead of it, where we saw Rana Kolomoani make his first start against Everton. Look, it was an excitement to see what he could offer. We had Kudus, Johnson and Xavi Simons in behind him with Paulina and Bentancur once again the base of the midfield. It looked to be as Tottenham set up with Johnson on the right, Kudus down the middle, Xavi off the left in the early stages at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. And to be fair, Everton absolutely flew out the blocks, and there was a huge chance for them. Should have been 1-0 in the first 5 minutes when Dye beat Spence down the right-hand side. His ball across the box found Grealish at the back post 5 yards out. His strike hit Porro on the line, and somehow Tottenham survived. So there was an early scare in there where, again, it could have been a very different game if Everton do go 1-0 up. And that, again, is such fine margins because Tottenham go straight up the other end. And up until this point, Everton were the only team not to concede a corner in the Premier League. And I think this might actually go unnoticed. I think Adju might have mentioned it, but there was lovely work from Kolomoani to actually get the corner and, give Spurs the opportunity to go 1-0 ahead. And they did. It was a similar situation where, of course, Bentancur, there's been that criticism recently of having Bentancur and Paulina in the team. But there was a goal for Bentancur against, of course, Villa. He then obviously provided the assist for this one. And who says he doesn't contribute to Tottenham attacking? What did you make, Jason? We'll come to you with the opening goal where Spurs did go ahead. Micky van der Ven putting Tottenham ahead.
Well, you got to praise Gary Neville or whoever the co-coms were because they came out with the famous commentator's curse, didn't they? As soon as he said Everton are the only team not to have conceded from a set piece, what happens? Bang, they go and concede from a set piece. Bentancur done brilliant, didn't he, to get the ball back across. And if you got Micky, a yard out at his size, he's got to be burying that, hasn't he? So no, it was it's just summed up everything when the commentator says that it's coming.
Yeah, you do. Like I say, and then after that, obviously Spurs going 1-0 ahead. There were concerns that the 1-0 was going to be short-lived, where Everton thought they equalised from a corner of their own. O'Brien heading in, Vicario van der Ven having a long chat with the referee. The Spurs goalkeeper, for those that are watching the show, they'll see that Vicario got sandwiched between Grealish and Ndiaye. VAR chalked it off. There were loud boos from the home fans, but Grealish and Ndiaye were offside. And I think it was pretty obvious that they were interfering. Russ, could Everton have had any real argument with that? Their fans any argument on the back of that one being disallowed?
Well, there was a similar one yesterday at Chelsea.
Yep.
And that was perfectly okay. I do get confused with it all. I mean, I was like you, Rick, on social media during the game, and I think it was Luke Herbert, a regular viewer. Hello, Lukey, who said, "Well, he's offside anyway, so it doesn't really matter." But obviously, the officials didn't agree, and impeded he was. And you know, who would want to be Craig Pawson having to go on the microphone in that stadium and say it's not a goal for Everton, which was great news for us, of course. So. 50-50, maybe it was, but it went our way, and we're very happy.
In fairness, Moyes said after the game. In fairness, he said he's got no complaints about it not being given.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So you know,
go on, Jason. I know you want to come in.
Just to say what Adam said. You know,
Yeah.
I hate managers that hide behind referees.
Yeah.
And yet Moyes, when asked, he said, "I've just seen it. It's the right decision." And then she kind of pressed him to see if he'd be a bit more controversial. And he said, "If I'd have conceded a goal like that, I wouldn't have been very happy either." So that says it all. I mean, you can't sandwich a goalkeeper. There's two people. There's one both sides of him. That's the problem. And it was a little bit silly for Ndiaye to run behind Vicario. You know, so absolutely brilliant from David Moyes to come out and say, you know, to turn all the controversy away from it and just accept it was the right decision. It's not a goal.
Yeah, it's funny because at that point when the goal, before it was given to VAR, I mean, I saw Vicario getting absolutely berated on social media saying, "Here we go again." I mean, we'll come on to it because he made a couple of wonderful saves in the second half, where again for Vicario, if he doesn't make those saves, this could be a very different game. Do you think just on that point, do you think Vicario still needs more support from set pieces, or do you just ignore that one? Because again, like Jason has said, and the boys, and even Russ said there, alluded to it, he was clearly sandwiched in that move, which of course led to the goal being chalked off. What do you think on that, Ad?
I mean, look, it was a really, really good header. Yeah, we always sort of look at it from our point of view. Like, it's a brilliant corner and a brilliant header. If that was the other way round and we'd scored that, we'd be all saying, what an unbelievable header. I don't think we'd have criticised the goalkeeper for that at all. He's been brilliant the last two games, like absolutely brilliant. I think he obviously has some faults.
Yep.
I think people are too harsh on him. I don't, you know, he doesn't have many things wrong. Like, does he let in the occasional like long shot that he should save? Yes, but 90% of goalkeepers, bar the absolute best that are about. You know, Ederson at City used to let in clangers regularly, but because he was in such a great team that rarely conceded, he sort of got away with it. So I think Vicario is a good goalkeeper. I think yes, he is a little bit, you know, soft when people are around him on coming out for crosses and stuff like that. But it seems generally that we've got a way now defensively of organising ourselves where he gets less exposed.
Agree. Yeah, like I say, you can't argue with these last few games. You know, and I said a few weeks ago that we need to be having conversations about Vicario, and there was a few concerns that I had. But look, I think, you know, look at our problems that we've got. Definitely, deficiencies in attack are a lot more concerning right now than what they are at the back. You know, again, you've got to say it at the moment. I think Vicario, when you're looking down the list of what the priorities are, I don't think he's anywhere near the top at the moment. So hopefully it does stay like that. And we haven't got those conversations because it's a lot more an easier show to do them. There obviously, of course, there was that moment before that where nearly a screamer from Bentancur was a great corner again from Spurs. Play to the back, found Bentancur on the edge of the box. He hit a superb volley, only inches wide of the post. And I know there's a lot of people at that moment. There was a criticism of Simmons in that early part of the second half where the ball fell kindly to him behind Everton midfield. He drove with options either side to side before attempting to flick it to Kalmawani before trickling through to O'Brien instead. Not the first time we've seen that. We've seen him do it at Brighton as well. I don't know, you've touched upon Xavi Simons already. Look, we've seen a lot of players come here with very exciting potential. It maybe just takes a little bit of time to settle. I mean, I've said with regards to Simons that for me, it's hard for me to judge somebody that's not been in the Premier League, I think, for at least, and I might be hung for this, maybe 6 to 12 months. Is that fair? Do you think that's fair to say he's got a 6 to 12 month adaptation period, Xavi Simons?
You just made the point before, right? That Frank, we got games every 3 games, so Frank doesn't have a lot of time to work on stuff.
No, exactly. Yep.
So you know, if the manager doesn't have a lot of time to work on stuff because we're playing all the time, you've got a player that's come in right at the end of the window. Again, it comes back to it. I suspect if Simons had come in at the beginning of pre-season, it's completely different because then he's there and stuff like that. So it's completely different. You're coming into a new country. People sort of like lose or forget these things. He's probably staying in a hotel. So when footballers come to a new country, they'll stay in a hotel for a bit until they find somewhere to live and stuff like that. He's only 22. There's lots of other things around it. It takes a little bit of time to settle in a new country, and we are playing a lot of games, and, he missed all of our pre-season and all of that to work on. So he's getting up to speed, and we're not massively fluid. I suspect if he was coming into a team like our team like a couple of years ago, where you had, dare I say, Kane and Son, whatever it might be, players that have been in, even if it's not Kane and Son, but your attacking system where most of them have been there, then it'll be different. But the whole attack is completely different at the minute and changing. So it's hard to slot in.
Yeah. I know he looked quite frustrated to be pulled on the hour mark. I know, Jace, I'll just come to you on that point very quickly. There might have been an argument that he was maybe growing into the game at that point. Could he be frustrated for being pulled, Jace, do you reckon?
He looked like a kid who'd had his ice cream off the menu, didn't he? Coming off, snivelling like that. His attitude coming off was not great. And as well as that pass where he ignored the bloke, what about the square pass in our own half that let Everton clean through? I mean, it was the two worst passes of the game. So, no, he has to improve. I mean, Florian Wirtz is struggling in exactly the same way. I think the physicality and the pace of the game looks like he's struggling to adapt to that as well. I'm sure we'll see better performances as the season wears on, and hopefully as the team gets a little bit more confidence and cohesion, then that will show in his performances as well. But I don't think it's all down to him, but he certainly has to. He's certainly got a lot of improving to do at the moment.
Most managers will tell you that they're happy. That they're happy when players are pissed off at coming off, though, aren't they? Like it shows, that's a good sign. And I suspect his frustration was probably in his own performance as well as being taken off.
Yeah, he might have argued that he just felt maybe he was growing into the game. He's then been subbed, so maybe you can get it.
Yeah,
but
loads of games. We played midweek. We got more games coming. We've got loads of big games, right?
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, the other point is that he's not the only player who's come into the Premier League who's struggling a bit. Wirtz at Liverpool, fine example, was actually a bit better when he was playing, ironically, in Germany the other night. So, and I think that Xavi actually is playing better than him. So I've got no concerns about him at all. I think he will come good at some big moments for us. Just a side point where we're talking about set pieces and scoring them today. Thomas Tuchel is probably looking at Jordan Pickford a little bit and saying, hang on a minute, I don't like the look of this. We got a World Cup coming up in the summer. So he's put himself, I think, Jordan Pickford, under a bit of pressure, thanks to the brilliance of our crosses and Bentancur and Micky van de Ven.
Yeah.
Let's come on to that. If that was the other way round and we'd conceded that goal and that was Vicario, we'd be absolutely hammering him, wouldn't we, for being such...
Yes. Yeah, we'd be going nuts. Let's come on to that second goal, because Van de Ven becomes the first Tottenham defender in 12 years to score twice in a match. That last man, Jan Vertonghen, crazy stat, that one. Second goal for a centre-back from a corner. He shushed the Everton fans as he made it 2-0 for Spurs, as it was picked up on in Frank's presser after the game. Fifth goal of the season. Despite Everton not getting from a corner all season, Tottenham scored twice from a set piece in the first half. The same scorer, Micky van de Ven. And to be fair, again, it was a really, for those that go and watch it back, a really intelligent run from Van de Ven as he started at the far post, ran behind O'Brien along the goal line, and then died in front of Pickford to connect with Porro's delivery. A real excellent goal. 2 for Spurs, 2 for Van de Ven. Porro a great ball in, and Van de Ven, like I say, right on top of Pickford as he beat him to it. The Spurs fans saying, Micky again, ole, ole. And Spurs went into half-time 2-0 up. And I think it's fair to say, we talk about players wearing the armband. Jason, I think that's what you want to see, right? We kind of... I joked around, I think I said, about this whole leadership group. I mean, I don't know what football's become now when you've got this leadership group of 4 or 5 players. But to be fair to Micky, stood like a leader, has scored a really couple of important goals for Spurs, Jace.
Absolutely. His all-round performance today, very good. You know, it's not just the 2 goals he scored, interceptions, blocks, couple of headers away. You know, that's what you want to see from Mickey. And, you know, in his time at Tottenham, I mean, I've said to you lots, Rick, off air. So his defending last year, the pace is obviously his massive quality, but 1v1s last year he wasn't necessarily great, and he wasn't as dominant in the air. So, you know, he did need to improve as a defender, and he's certainly, you know, today's a much more what you want from your centre half, particularly away from home, to come out with that, and a proper captain today. So no, full credit to him today.
Yeah, I think at the moment, this is how crazy it is. I think Van der Ven's our leading goal scorer at the moment on 5 goals in the Premier League. So
he's gone past own goals.
I'll tell you what, that own goals his value is going up by the day. That own goals. Can we sign him down long term? We might need to this season with our lack of goals out the rest of the team. We'll come on to it. Maybe Mickey will end up being top scorer. Look, let's go for our next break of the show. Let's hear from the goal scorer. Double praise for him. Let's hear from Micky van der Ven, who gives us his reaction to being Spurs' goal scorer for a couple. And, of course, the man behind Spurs' win. And, of course, Pape Matar Sarr as well. We'll come on to him in this second half of the show. Let's hear from Micky.
Micky's here. Well done, mate. I was hoping I'd be talking to you after this game as captain of a winning team with a clean sheet, maybe. I didn't think I'd be talking to you about scoring 2 goals. But here we are.
Crazy feeling, no? I went into the game hoping as well that we get the win and get a clean sheet if it was possible, of course. And because we know it's always tough to play against Everton away from home. It's always really tough. Great team performance today, and really happy with my 2 goals.
I mean, both set piece. I mean, the first goal was it looked such a well-drilled move because you got Rodri going around the back, he nods it back, and then you go in for the kill. It just looked a well-drilled set piece.
We knew we were going to play at the second post at that point, so. Everyone you speak before as well to Mo took this corner. Yeah, the first corner was Mo. So Mo knew he was going to play at second post. We knew Rodri was going to be there, and he had it back unbelievable. And I can come away from Pickford and head it in the long corner. So that was a good feeling.
It must be a great feeling having worked on it on the training ground for it to come to fruition at a place like this. You know, live on telly, all of that.
Yeah, of course. Like what I said, set pieces we train a lot on it, and the guys don't love it. Always, to be honest, because it's repeating. You know how it is to repeat everything. So it's not a thing you always like. It's like tactical work as well. But you see, we start enjoying it more and more because we know we're really a threat for everyone to play against. And today again, we score with 2 set pieces.
I just said to Zhao, once we got ahead in the game, because we're so well set up, especially as an away team, and you can see that from our away record, you just feel like we can go on and win these games.
Like structurally also today you saw we were standing really well and everybody knows what to do, and I think that's the most important, like in the tactical part. They scored a 1-1, I would say correctly disallowed because it was offside position who was blocking Vic, but you see afterwards we stay in calm and there's no panic in us, and of course they get some chance, but then it's the most important to stay calm in these situations. Of course Vic makes some unbelievable saves also the second half, what's really important. But you see we have the quality and we know what to do in even these tight situations.
I was going to finish with Vic actually. I mean, he's getting a highlight reel. So I mean, there was about 8 in the week, but the one from the overhead kick today was that was something else, wasn't it?
I didn't even know how we got it, to be honest. It was a really good save. What you say against Monaco, he was unbelievable, and today he kept us in the game as well with a clean sheet. So credits to Vic to how he's doing the last 2 games.
So that, of course, was Micky van der Ven on the back of Spurs going up to Everton and winning 3-0. We had one odd moment from Micky where he didn't really turn a cross into his own net before half-time, but he put his body on the line otherwise and was monstrous in that win for Tottenham. I'm joined by Jason McGovern. I'm joined by Broadcaster Russ Williams. I'm joined by Adam Osper on this last one on Spurs. Thanks as always to the 6,500 that are watching us live. As always, we appreciate your support. If you can keep liking and subscribing to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. And let's go to Vic. Let's go to Vicario, because I know, Jace, you've been a firm defender of Vicario, where at times I've been on his case. Look, again, second time in a week, he's been brilliant for Tottenham. And we'll come on to that save he did make, because there was no divine right he had to make it, where Spurs, of course, were going into the second half 2-0 up. And to be fair to Everton, they started very strong in that second half, where A cross into the box found Beto, whose bicycle kick seemed destined for the back of the net. And Vicario wouldn't know really anything about it. He swung an arm at it and somehow kept Spurs 2 in front. But the Everton players, they thought it crossed the line. It was that close. I mean, it was, Jace, a sensational save. And probably at the moment, you'd say, Jace, save of the season to date?
Oh, amazing save. I mean, when I saw it in real time, if you like, and you saw the bicycle kick, I thought it just kind of hit him and came out. But then when you saw the slow motions, you realise it's a genuine save. He's got his arm up and clawed it out. It was that was a stupendous save, mate. He has no right to make that save. No right at all. And I bet when Ndai's caught that, was it Ndai? I think it was from Ndai, wasn't it? He thinks that's in the back of the net. And I think everyone kind of thought it was in the back of the net. It's amazing save. Absolutely amazing save. And I wouldn't say I'm his biggest fan, Rick. And I'd agree with some of your concerns about him. I just don't think it's been the biggest concern we've had this season. That's all. But you know, he's had a fantastic week. I mean, he made a lot of saves in Monaco, but a lot of those I would expect him to make. I think the one from Balogun in the first half and then the block on the line in the second half were top saves. But that today was an extraordinary save that he has no right to make at all.
Yeah. No, listen, he's had a really, really good week. I mean, Russ, in this one, he's made that stunning save tonight. Beto, again, he's made another brilliant save to keep out Ullman Dyer's deflected shot. He's had a good week, Russ, right? Vicario had a good week.
Very good week, and we've all sort of got a bit frustrated and what have you. And, in the past, he's not the finished article. He is a very, very good shot stopper. And you've got to have such great reactions and be so fit to do the things that he does in the saves that Jason and yourself were just talking about. Maybe the set piece coach can get hold of him now and teach him how to command his area a little more. And I think that would be an even bigger improvement, because that's the one area. Shot stopping, no problem. Distribution is okay. But commanding that penalty area, getting your hands on the ball, it's so important. I mean, Pickford, funny enough, isn't particularly good at that. And he's England's number one. But there are a lot of goalkeepers who are.
Just on that point, Jason,
but I was just going to say on that, Russ, I mean, in fairness, we're talking about the percentage of goals going up from set pieces. And there's no doubt about it now, 6-yard box, everyone is literally piling into 6-yard boxes.
Yeah, they are.
You see goalkeepers constantly blocks and that. I think it is harder. I mean, even the criticism of Pickford, it was just a sneaky little nudge from Micky, wasn't there? Just when they're about to go up for
this
the
is
ball,
a general criticism.
Don't push them like that, but just that little nudge in the back. And as you're going up, if you get that nudge, you are off balance. There's no doubt about it. So I think, Vic can look a bit flappy at corners, but I think there's 15 or 16 goalkeepers in the Premier League that are looking just as bad. And that kind of, with the set piece coach, if we're seeing more goals scored from set pieces, so full credit to the set piece coach, then that means we're seeing more goals conceded from set pieces. Yeah. So where's the defensive set piece coach? But if that delivery is right and the blocking and the pulling and all that is going on, I think it is harder for goalkeepers now to do it.
And on that point, Russ, do you think that's the problem? On that point you're saying about set pieces,
I'm not
a common trend.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm basing it on since he's been at the club. And last season he was flapometer, wasn't he? I think we'd all agree. I would like for him to improve. So people are not saying, oh, well, we need another goalkeeper next summer. Let encourage him, and hopefully we can do that. I mean, I think the last 2 games, particularly, we'd all agree, some saves he's made have been beyond unbelievable. And you can't do that every week. But what you can do is reduce the chance of conceding a goal by commanding your area in general across a season. And it was an observation not about the last few games, Jason, honestly, and the same with Pickford. It was over a longer period of time. And it looks as though he's getting a little bit better, but I'm sure they'll be talking to him about it. I'm sure they will.
Yeah, just on that point,
fouling in the penalty area is a real bugbear of mine. When you see somebody with 2 arms around somebody, And I think it was Gary Neville today said, "Oh, that would have been soft." Well, it's a bloody foul, you know. We could talk about that all night.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I mean, look, Vicario's in his third season now at Spurs. It's quite long for a goalkeeper at Tottenham, to be fair, to get a third season, given what we've had. I mean, I know Lloris has been here I know Lloris had a long time in it. Robinson had a few years. Do you think as Vicario can work on that commandment of the area? Are you seeing that improve? Can he improve that third season? Ed, what do you think on that point? Or is that a thing you have to live with? Because maybe if he is great at that, is he a Tottenham player? Am I doing him down by saying that, Ed? What do you reckon?
I think the thing about goalkeepers is, like, if you think about really, really good teams, the best teams in the league, they've got brilliant defences. Therefore, their goalkeeper makes fewer saves. Last season, under Ange, Vicario was probably having more shots at him than normal. Therefore, you're more susceptible to make mistakes. Whereas this season, I don't think he's flapped. I think actually there was a period, I don't know exactly when it was last season, where everyone basically decided they were going to pile in, and then he conceded a few. I think generally since then, in the main, he's been much better. I think a few times he came out today and punched the ball. It is definitely still his weakness, but they'll be working on it. And I think Jason made the point before in terms of where you want to improve the team and the squad. There are other places that are much more needed to be improved than that. Someone's just making a point in the chat about Adam Raya is fantastic. Yes, he is. Raya is fantastic. Brilliant goalkeeper. Remember when he went to Arsenal, he got hammered for the beginning because he was doing stuff wrong and he had to work on stuff. Yeah. And he worked on it and he's much better now. And I think under a manager like Frank, where they do have this defensive coach and maybe more specific coaches, I think you'll see an improvement in that. As I said, I don't think Vicario is one of our main problems.
Okay, you'd imagine, and I will again, it's later in the week this show, but obviously for Newcastle, you would imagine Kinski will probably get the Carabao Cup. So you'd imagine Kinski will come in for that game against Newcastle, right? So I'll be interested to see how he does get on. In terms of that second half for Spurs, it looked a bit slow after going 2-0 up. We were in a couple of changes in there. We saw Bergvall and Ritchie replace Xavi Simons and Rado Kalamoani. There was some decent movement from, I think, Kalamoani, who definitely looks like he's improving. Is that fair? We'll stick you on Moani because it's some nice little bit of hold-up play there, nice few flicks, encouraging display. I think the fact he was disappointed to be subbed off just kind of underlined how much he really enjoyed that display. Is that fair, Ed?
Yeah, I think when he came on against Monaco, he did 2 or 3 things. Again, he had a really good touch, and you saw bits of it today. And I think that's what we desperately missed, like that sort of somebody who can actually hold the ball up, because 95% of the time it bounces off Richarlison and comes straight back. And again, that hinders all of your attacking play, doesn't it? If you can't hold the ball up as your striker, then you can't bring other players into play around you. And as you said, like the 3 or 4 times that happened with Moani today, we created chances. I think the subs were good today. Like you made the point, I thought, he brought Richarlison and Bergvall, and I thought that did actually improve it. And Frank made the point in that press conference, right? And I said it before already. We were 2-0 up. We were under the cosh. It was pissing with rain. I've seen us fold so many times in those games. We all have. Yeah, and they didn't. They stood strong, made changes, and then we basically rode that storm and then went on and killed it.
Yeah. Let's quickly, Jace, ask you about Richarlison, who did come on. He had a really good opportunity to put the game beyond Everton before Sarr did. He should have scored. He does well to win his battle with Tarkowski over a bouncing ball up top. He's clean for on goal. His strike is a fierce one, but it's straight at Pickford, and Spurs couldn't capitalise on the following corner. What kind of role, Jace, are you expecting Richarlison to have this season? And maybe don't say left back in the changing rooms, because we need him at the moment, given our lack of options.
I think give Pickford a little bit of credit for the save as well, because he's out to him and gets his block away, but he could have dinked it above him, or he could have looked sideways and played a pass, and Bergvall had a completely empty net to tap into. But I mean, he'd been on the pitch then 90 seconds. So, I'll let him off of that. It's not like he blazed one over from 3 yards out or something like that. But, there were better options to do. But, I'll give him a little bit of leeway for being on the pitch 90 seconds. And at least he forced the mistake from Tarkowski as well.
Yeah.
So, give him a little bit of credit. And as I say, Pickford still makes a decent save. But I like Pickford where, if you haven't seen the game, you can clearly see you should have chipped it over the top of me type of thing. So, which was good fun. But, what do I expect from Richie this season? I expect him gone in January, if I'm honest. I think
is that what you hope or you expect to happen?
No, a little bit of both. I think if Muani's up and running and Don somehow is back and Richie wants to go to the World Cup as Brazil's number 9, he'll see and think, I need proper time on the pitch to go to make myself Brazil starting number 9. And I think if Muani's up and running and Don's fit, then he's going to be the third choice striker, in which case you will look to move him on as early as possible. And if Everton are desperate for a striker and he wants to go somewhere for regular football, even if it's a loan, I kind of see that happening in January. It might be the 31st of January, not the 1st. But if I'm honest, I think that's what will happen come January. We know the club were offering him to Palace on the last day this window. So, there's clubs, I think, in the Premier League that will still take a gamble on him in January if they're in trouble, say a West Ham or something like that, and he'll go on loan and he'll become their striker for the second half of the season.
Do you share that optimism, Mads? What do you reckon?
I don't think he'll go to somewhere like West Ham. It's going to be up to the player, but he's just he's so frustrating. Because he had I think 2 good games at the beginning of the season, and then if he could play like this, and then the next time the ball just bounces off his shin all the time. I just find him so frustrating. And I know he just come on the chance he missed, but I just sat there and thought, if you're a top quality striker, you finish that, whether you just come on or not, and that sums him up. He's not a top quality striker. He's not consistent enough. He's not good enough. It's as simple as that. To be fair to him though, I'm knocking him a bit. I actually did quite well when he came on. He actually did run. He put himself about. But I think that's his role. I don't think starting. I just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, Russ, quickly, what do you make of Richarlison? What's his future hold?
Short and sweet. His races run at the club. He will be gone.
Okay. Confident there from us, he'll be gone. One player I think we do want to see stick around, and I think we've been quite bemused by exactly game time. We'll sit with Russ on this point. Pape Matar Sarr, he came on and replaced Kudus for the final 15 minutes, and really it was game, set, and match because he was, again, the player that did provide that moment of real, I think, calmness for Spurs to go 3-0 ahead at the Hill Dickinson. A lovely move from Spurs, a well-worked move. And to be fair, it's a lovely footballing move, as Jason touched upon there. Porro on the right-hand side. His cross was fantastic. Richarlison headed it back across the box to Sarr. So Richarlison does get the assist on this one. And his header was perfect. It beat Pickford. A bit of a muted celebration, Russ, from Pape Matar Sarr. Definitely not getting carried away by scoring. Maybe look a bit frustrated. What did you make of that? And what have you made of his overall admission from the team in these last few weeks? Have you been surprised, Russ?
Well, I mean, I like him. A lot of our fans like him. He's young, he's enthusiastic. I think he's got a lot of ability. He can run and run and run and run. We've seen him score goals for us. He can get on the end of assists in the box. And Richie actually assisted him today, I think, from memory. But for him, not to celebrate in the enthusiastic style that he has done in the past, I think might show that he is a little fed up. I don't know for sure. He may feel that I should be starting in this team. And he was, ironically, at the start of the season, wasn't he? So it's got to be, he's young, it's okay. But perhaps Thomas Frank would say, well, I'm glad he's upset, for reasons that are pretty obvious if you're a football manager and you've got only 11 players to pick that can start a game.
Yep.
But look, he's on the score sheet, 3-0. We've got to be happy. Don't really want to start over-analysing, Rick, if I'm honest, how Pape Matar Sarr might feel, but I would imagine that he's just thinking, "Oh, I've got a goal, but I wish I feel as though I should be playing from the start." That's probably it. I don't know for sure.
I do think, though, on that point, Russ, you've touched upon there, Jason, I think Sarr's run is kind of what we've missed because he runs off a defender, spots a chance, gets into a great place. We're 3-0 up. And to be fair, there was times that second half where we were under the cosh. But again, it's kind of game, set and match. I know, just to come on to that point, you love that attack, Jason, right? You love that attack that Spurs did for that third goal.
Yeah, I mean, just your still image, Rick. What was the time of that? 80? What was the time of the clock now?
88.1. Yeah, 88. 80, we're going to the 88th minute. 88th minute. Yeah.
88 minutes. The first thing I love about that is there's 7 white shirts running forward.
Yep.
Rather than 6 sitting deep in our own box. So, that's the first thing I like about the goal. But yeah, you need your midfield run. I mean, Dele was brilliant at those midfield runs, wasn't he? Getting beyond the last man and getting on the end of things. We saw Lucas Bergvall do it at West Ham, and you do need someone from midfield to make that extra man. Richie does brilliantly with the header across. It's a brilliant ball in from Pedro. It was just was the best bit of football all day that we played. Best bit of football we've played for 3 weeks or whatever. Just a brilliant goal to see.
It was indeed. And coming on to that point, Pat, what have you made of his recent omission? Do you think he's deserving of a place in the team? Have you been surprised by his lack of a start in the last few weeks so far? What have you made of it?
I mean, I really like Sarr, and I sort of said this last year.
Yeah.
I don't know where he fits. I said this in Angie's team.
Even now? He's still for that even now?
Well, if you go with the fact that the favoured formation that we're going to play is going to be with 2 deep men, which is going to be Paulina and Bentancur, where does he play? I don't think he plays in a deep man 2 with either one of those because that's not his position. And if he's going to play in that attacking sort of box to box role, then who isn't like it's almost like we've bought Simons to play there. So I really like him, and I thought early in the season he was brilliant, but he was playing in that sort of number 10ish, right? Unless he's going to drop Simons, but you just feel that we bought Simons for a lot of money, and he's going to be a player that he's going to maybe pursue. But maybe you do it that you have Kudus on the right, Simons on the left, and Sarr in the middle. Maybe you try that. I get the impression I think it was after the Bournemouth game where we lost 1-0, where Frank said, I knew the mistakes that I made and I'm not going to play them again.
Yeah.
And I don't think he started a game like since. And I'm not saying Sarr was the reason but I just felt that in that game, the Bournemouth game, we didn't have that midfielder who could take the ball in that attacking position. And that's where Sarr was playing. And I think he either prefers Bergvall or Simons there because they can receive the ball, or like a Maddison in that position, or even a Kulusevski. So I just don't quite know. I'd like to see him play, but I just don't know where he plays unless you change the formation.
Interesting. I will just say one thing. I know this is coming to us here on the news from the people who actually are in the live chat watching this show, that Sarr recently released a statement about, and thank you for this cinematic, Sarr recently released a statement about his fellow Senegalese young player, Cheikh Touré, getting killed in Ghana after being kidnapped and held hostage, thinking he might have been going on a footballing trial. So maybe that might be a potential reason why he's not featured. We'll have to see. But listen, like Russ said, back on the score sheet, hopefully back in the team, and ahead of what, again, is a big, big week for the club. I want to close on this point, boys, if I can. It is a big week. Newcastle in the Carabao Cup. Chelsea. When it comes to that point, Russ, it's that match day 10. You love a match day 10. Russ is back with us for Chelsea. I know Ads and Jason will be there in that stadium probably for Chelsea. Just to close on this question for everybody, what's the priority of the week? Is there a priority? Are both the games priority? We love our cup games. We obviously want to beat Chelsea at home. Russ, is there a priority of the week? Are they both as important as each other?
No, they're both very important. We want another trophy. And, after last season, Newcastle away, surely we're confident it's an away game.
Yep.
But Chelsea is Chelsea. And I do pray with every sinew of my body that we give them a going over for once. I mean, we've had shocking luck against them. We've been battered by them. We all know the history.
Yeah.
We know that as a football club, we're not over keen on them. That's a polite way of saying it anyway. So to me, they're both really, really important games. And Jason said right at the start of the podcast, if you've just joined us, that, it's a real morale booster and confidence builder. We've got United and Chelsea. Newcastle away is an important game, of course, but Chelsea almost like some sort of psychological boost that would really propel us on, I think. Yeah. But it's a difficult few weeks for us, and we've just got to get on with it. I'm a lot more confident this season than I was last.
Yeah, a 2-day rest in between. I mean, that's going to be interesting how Thomas does manage that squad 2 days in between. Do you think, Russ, on that point, if we go and beat Newcastle, do you think the players are bouncing into Chelsea? That feeling of beating Newcastle in the cup, because you're knocking out the holders. It's a real momentum shift, right? You go and win that game at Newcastle, and listen, again with Tottenham, I don't want to put the knockers on it. We've been the best team away from home domestically in the top flight so far. So we should be going a bit confident, right, Russ?
Yeah, you're right. We would be super confident, but we should be super confident going to Newcastle because what we've done at Everton today.
And Leeds.
It's a really difficult place to go. So it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy that we're going to go there and we're going to win. It's an away game. Of course we are.
Yeah. I'm just thinking the next time I see you, Russ, I'm hoping we haven't lost half the team. I hope we haven't lost half the team.
Well, yeah, that's
it's
right.
match day. Joe, I think all I've been speaking about in the last 10 podcasts is match day 10, and we're finally getting to match day 10. All right, Jason, we'll come to you. Big week. How does Thomas Frank make this work? A couple of days rest in between. You've said it in this show, not a lot of time on the training ground to really change a lot of things. Does he need to change a lot of things, Jason? What does he need to do in this last week? And I think like a lot of people have been saying during the show that, Chelsea, should we be scared of Chelsea? They've had some really bad home results recently, and even away from home. I know it's that name Chelsea that it sends a shiver down all of our spine, but it's not the Chelsea of the Chelsea we should be worried about, Jason. Or are you just worried because it's just Chelsea and Newcastle in between? 2 very hard games against 2 very hard teams.
There's no such thing as a Chelsea we're not worried about. Come on, Rick. We've paid a heavy price for relegating them in 1975. I know that. Being the team that sent them down. Ever since then, they've and then beat them in that cup when Odell and Hazard ran the show at Stamford Bridge. Ever since then, they've been a nightmare. I think Newcastle, I saw the Newcastle game with Fulham yesterday. They were a little bit fortunate to beat Fulham. There was a spell in the game second half where Fulham were all over them, and at Fulham taking their chances, Fulham would have got something there yesterday.
Yeah, agree. Yeah.
And I think Newcastle will rotate as well. Because don't forget they're in the Champions League, but the fact that we've only got 2 days, tomorrow's going to be a rest and recovery day, and we'll probably travel up there Tuesday afternoon. So there's not much time to do anything on the training pitch. I think we'll go pretty much with the same blueprint as we've done today. I can see us making a few. I think Kinski will probably come in.
Yep.
And maybe Pape Matar or Bergvall will get in there with certainly one of Palhinha or Bergvall or Bentancur say for the Chelsea game. But then even then, there's only 2 days between Newcastle and Chelsea. So it is a tough week. Of the two, I'd sooner, I'm not as fussed about Chelsea as a club as others are. We have one rival for me. It's that lot 3 miles down the road. So Chelsea, I've always thought about as Blue Fulham. They're not the big deal for everyone for me. But if Newcastle beat us, one of probably 2 chances to win something this season has gone. If we lose to Chelsea, we can still get 4th, 5th, 6th.
Yep.
So in terms of the absolute out-and-out outcome of those games, Newcastle for me is, if I can pick one to win, I'd pick the Newcastle game all the time.
Okay. Let's close with you. What's the how do we navigate this week? It does feel, it always feels it's quite a big weakness in Spurs' calendar because typically it's a week where things do tend to go wrong even on the injury front.
Talking about it. Why do you keep talking about it?
Because I've been mentally scarred by this week for the last how many years?
We need to get one thing very, very clear. I fucking hate Chelsea, okay? Let's just get that really, really clear, okay? Fucking hate Chelsea. He'll definitely rotate Wednesday. Sarr, Bergvall will play. I don't think Kudus will play. Richarlison will start. I suspect Odegaard will start and probably Tell. I suspect all of that will happen with a rotation.
Yep.
And probably Gray. as well. I think there'll be quite a lot of rotation. To be honest, I think we'll still be strong. I think you could put Sarr, Bergvall in there. They're good enough to start in our potentially best team. But I think Kudus, I suspect, will definitely come out because I think he's played a lot of games, and I think you'd want him fresh. I would see most of the subs that were subbed today coming in. To be honest with you,
okay, it does feel like a big week. So listen, let's hope we get through it. I want to say a massive thank you, Russ. Thank you. The next time I see you, hopefully we've got more than half the squad fit.
Yeah, and we'll keep our fingers crossed. Enjoy everyone, and thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Great to see Jace and Ads as well.
Amazing. Russ, you've been a superstar. Thank you, mate. You're a diamond. Co-pilot over there. Really big period coming up. We're not worried at all. We're going to be calm. Thank you so much, Russ. We'll see you very soon. Big week ahead. Jace, thank you. Nice, calm, easy show. We like these a lot more calmer, a lot more easier. Let's keep these going. Normally when Adam's face is on here during a post-match show, it means there could be a crisis around the corner. But Ads, an easy one today, right? You said to me after the game, you WhatsApped me and said to me, nice and enjoyable, Rick. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah. All good. Enjoyable. Very good. Nice chat, guys.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great week ahead. Ad, thank you so much. Make sure you go and check Ad out over at Sports Finance. Russ, of course, over at Russ W777. And Jason, don't add Jason. He'll see you if he sees you down the ground. Listen, from us all, thanks to the 7,500 that have been watching us live. Keep liking, keep subscribing from us all. Keep safe, keep well. And as always, come on, you Spurs.